The New York Times smears Tulsi Gabbard again. Hi, thanks for watching. Today I want to talk about an article that was in the New York Times over the weekend about Tulsi Gabbard, and it's really, really bad. Now, to discuss it, I want to lay out a couple things first. First, this video is not necessarily for fans of Tulsi Gabbard. If you're a fan of Tulsi Gabbard, you know how the media has treated her throughout her entire campaign. So this will just be more of the same. Now, this video is especially for people that are fans of the New York Times. You see, I have a lot of people in my life that love the New York Times. They have that as a status symbol. They get the New York Times on Sunday. That's what they do. They get bagels and the New York Times, and that's how they can show everyone that they're a good liberal person. I live here in Portland, and having the New York Times delivered on Sunday, well, that's just part of your liberal credentials. And so I want to go through this article and show how the New York Times is not being fair, is not holding up their own journalistic standards. And I'm going to do that with this article entitled, What Exactly is Tulsi Gabbard Up To? But first, I do want to remind you what guilt by association is. This is used so much in this article that I do want to just touch on it real quickly. The guilt by association fallacy occurs when someone connects an opponent to a demonized group of people or to a bad person in order to discredit his or her argument. The idea is that the person is guilty by simply being similar to this bad group and therefore should not be listened to about anything. Now, that's what this article will do. There is smear after smear after smear using this guilt by association. And if I were to go through the entire article, I would be here for over an hour, I'm sure. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to cut it off at, let's say, 15 smears, and then we're done, okay? Because while some people might like an hour-long video, I don't really want to make one. But just so you know, this is a smear. To use false information and accusations to harm the reputation of another person. A smear campaign is repeated uses of this to try to destroy another person's reputation, typically to make them lose an election. Now, Psychology Today says smear tactics work, and that's why it's being done by the New York Times. What exactly is Tulsi Gabbard up to? Oh, wait, I forgot one more caveat. This article is not an opinion piece. Now, if it were on the opinion page, if it were titled opinion, that would be one thing. Oh no, this is an actual article in the actual politics section of the paper. What exactly is Tulsi Gabbard up to? As she injects chaos into the 2020 Democratic primary by accusing her own party of rigging the election, an array of alt-right internet stars, blank blanks, and Russians have praised her. There is the first smear. The author, Lisa Lerer, is associating these alt-right internet stars, blank blanks, and Russians. Now, none of these people are registered Democrats, I would assume, and registered Democrats are the people that get to vote to decide who represents the party. Why would registered Democrats care what alt-right internet stars say, or blank blanks, or Russians? They have nothing to do with it. But it's a guilt by association right off the bat. First sentence. That's pretty bad. Let's keep going. Representative Tulsi Gabbard, who campaigned in Berlin, New Hampshire on Friday, threatened to boycott Tuesday's debate, arguing that the Democratic National Committee and corporate media are trying to hijack the entire election process. Well, I mean, that's true, right? The DNC, the Democratic National Committee, did rig the 2016 primary election. We know this from the DNC fraud lawsuit. In fact, Elizabeth Warren was asked if she thought it was rigged. And here's what she said.
Do you think, though, that what we're learning from Donna Brazil's book suggests that the campaign, that what the Democratic National Committee did, meant this election was rigged? Yeah, I think it was.
But okay, let's keep going. Stephen K. Bannon, President Trump's former chief strategist, is impressed with her political talent. Okay, right. Oh, wow. Another sentence in, and she's bringing up Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon was Trump's chief strategist. Obviously, readers of the New York Times hate Steve Bannon, right, for the most part. So to associate Steve Bannon with Tulsi, congratulations. That would be smear number 2. Let's keep going. Richard B. Spencer, the blank blank leader, says he could vote for. Well, see, I'm not even saying what the guy's a leader of. But obviously, he has an awful reputation. And again, the following sentence, let's associate that guy with Tulsi Gabbard. Why? Has she said anything about him? No. Not at all. But more guilt by association. Former Representative Ron Paul praises her libertarian instincts, while Franklin Graham, the influential evangelist, finds her refreshing. Now, clearly, readers of the New York Times are probably not fans of right-wing evangelical preachers, right? Can we assume that? And so, therefore, associating Tulsi Gabbard with a right-wing evangelical preacher is probably not a great association. So that's smear number 4. Let's keep going. As far-right conspiracy theorists like Mike Cernovich see a certain MAGA c'est quoi. Well, again, Mike Cernovich doesn't have a huge cheer section at the New York Times. Probably most people that read the New York Times, that subscribe to the New York Times, do not care for Mike Cernovich. This is another guilt by association, smear number 5. He says she's got good energy, a good vibe. You feel like this is just a serious person, Mike Cernovich said. She seems very Trumpian. So, some guy that in any other situation, if Mike Cernovich said anything, readers of the New York Times would put their hands over their ears and say, I don't care what he says. I don't care what Mike Cernovich says. But in this case, Lisa Lerer has put it in the article. Unbelievable. Among her fellow Democrats, Representative Tulsi Gabbard has struggled to make headway as a presidential candidate, barely cracking the 2% mark in the polls needed to qualify for Tuesday night's debate. Now, it's interesting that she says this because at this point, what are polls? Most people are not following this election. Now, you may be following this election because you're watching this video. Most people are not at all. I go out in Portland and talk to people. They don't know any. They could maybe name 2 or 3 candidates. They're not following this. And even the author of this article had an opinion on what polls, early polls, mean. Here's what she said.
Polls at this point really measure little more than name recognitions.
And why would you expect someone who gets no coverage, and if she does get any coverage like this, it's negative coverage? Why would she be higher than 2% in the polls? Why would she? All the news that is put out about her is negative. In fact, I challenge anyone to find the last positive article written in the New York Times about Tulsi Gabbard. Please let me know in the comments, because I don't know when it was. I don't know if it's ever been there. But I doubt there has been a positive story about her this year. There may be. It would be 1 out of 100, though. That's left some Democrats wondering what exactly she's up to in the race, while others worry about supportive signs from online bot activity and the Russian news media. There we go. Let's bring in the Russian news media. RT has said some nice things about her and covered her. Readers of the New York Times don't care what RT says. Readers of the New York Times probably don't even understand that RT, Russia Today America, is based in Washington, D.C. They probably don't even know that. They hear Russia, they think bad, right? That's what the New York Times does about their competition, Russia Today, Russian news media. But if you don't care what Russian news media says, why would you care if they said something positive? It's just another guilt by association. Perhaps strangest of all is the unusual array of Americans who cannot seem to get enough of her. Oh my goodness. So that is something clearly wrong, according to the author here. It's strange that some Americans can't get enough of her. Why? Because it's a politician that seems to be honest and have integrity and wants to stop regime change wars? Yeah, that is unusual because most of the politicians are pro-war, pro-corporation, pro-big bank. It's unusual to have someone different than that. And so it's refreshing to have a politician that appears to be earnest and care. Yeah. But that looks like a smear to me. On podcasts and online videos, in interviews and Twitter feeds, alt-right internet stars, blank blanks, libertarian activists, and some of the biggest boosters of Mr. Trump heap praise on Ms. Gabbard. They like the Hawaii Congresswoman's isolationist foreign policy views. Well, hold on a second. That is just a dirty lie. Tulsi Gabbard is not an isolationist at all. She's addressed this before. She is against regime change wars. We have a lot of stupid wars going on that she would like to end and bring those people home. That doesn't mean you're an isolationist. This is a dirty smear. And I guess that's the 8th one in the article so far. They like her support for drug decriminalization. They like what she sees as censorship by big technology platforms. I think that's the opposite. She's actually against censorship by big technology platforms and working in the media, working at the New York Times. The author of this should also be against censorship of big technology platforms. Then there's 4chan, the notoriously toxic online message board where some right-wing trolls and blank blanks fawn over Ms. Gabbard, calling her mommy. Okay, so who cares? This is a smear, right? They're trying to associate her with this online anonymous message board. So people on there like her and think she's hot? Okay. I like her. I think she's hot. Why does anyone care what an anonymous message board says? It's essentially like a bathroom wall. If someone were to go write something in a bathroom wall, would you pay any attention to it? I wouldn't. But it looks like the author is trying to get you to associate that with Tulsi Gabbard. That would be smear number 9. Brian Levin, the head of the Center for the Study of Hate and Extremism at California State University, San Bernardino, said Ms. Gabbard has the seal of approval within blank blank circles. Really? Really? She's got the seal of approval. And this is based on what evidence? And even if it were true, who cares? Who cares? This is a dirty smear. They are associating her with people that say nice things about her. So, yeah, that's terrible. A lot of people that readers of the New York Times don't like have said nice things about Tulsi Gabbard. Well, that just solves it. Well, that just proves it right there. What's that, smear number 10? Let's keep going. Ms. Gabbard has disavowed some of her most hateful supporters, castigating the news media for giving any oxygen at all to the endorsement she won from the blank blank leader David D. Again, here's another terrible figure that has endorsed people. Now, this person is a troll. He just endorses people. It doesn't mean anything. If he said anything else, everyone would ignore what that person said. But because he said something nice about Tulsi, now we can get some more guilt by association. Smear number 11. But her frequent appearances on Tucker Carlson's Fox News show have buoyed her support in right-wing circles. So, again, readers of the New York Times probably don't like Tucker Carlson, probably don't care for Fox News, and the author is associating Tulsi Gabbard for going on that show. Now, maybe she wouldn't go on that show if MSNBC's Rachel Maddow would have her on, but Rachel Maddow won't have Tulsi Gabbard on, probably because Tulsi would make her look like a fool and call her out for all her conspiracy theories that she spouts on a daily basis. Instead, she goes on cable news programs that will have her, including Tucker Carlson. Now, I think that's a good thing. But the author of this article has made it a negative thing. And that would be smear number 12. Both Ms. Gabbard and her campaign refused requests for comment about her support in right-wing circles or threat to boycott the debate. Lisa Lerer, the author of this article, refused comment to me when I asked her how much she was paid for doing this hatchet job on Tulsi Gabbard. She's a very talented person, but I'm not sure. I just don't know what to say about the campaign exactly, said Mark Longabaugh, a Democratic strategist who worked with Ms. Gabbard when she was campaigning for Bernie Sanders of Vermont in 2016. Well, again, this guy's a Democratic strategist who is not working for her, probably working for her competition. Why do we care what he thinks? I don't. Smear 13. There is political upside for Ms. Gabbard. Drawing more attention could energize her donors and perhaps attract more supporters, extending her candidate's lifespan. Yet there is only confusion for several Democratic officials, activists, and party officials who privately say they've been a little spooked by Ms. Gabbard. Rival campaigns worry about her unpredictable attacks if she participates in the debate, pointing to her sharp jabs against Senator Kamala Harris of California in an earlier matchup. Yes, if I were in another campaign, I would be really frightened of Tulsi Gabbard. She is the only candidate who has shown that she is able to defend herself on a microphone, speak well, and actually raise concerns about other candidates. Tim Ryan, she killed his campaign. Kamala Harris, essentially killing her campaign. She's done. In the next debate, I would hope that she would say something about Elizabeth Warren, and that Elizabeth Warren has no credentials whatsoever to be commander-in-chief, but I will leave that to Representative Gabbard to decide who she wants to go after next. She's taken a series of policy steps which signal to the right that she has deep areas of alignment, said Neera Tanden. Hold on a second. Neera Tanden? She got a quote from Neera Tanden, a longtime policy advisor of Hillary Clinton, who now leads the Center for American Progress, a liberal think tank, smear number 14. Center for American Progress is not a liberal think tank. It is essentially an organization that works for the Clintons. It was co-founded by John Podesta. Neera Tanden has said that she owes everything to Hillary Clinton and would do anything in the world that Hillary Clinton asked her to do. I think, Neera Tanden, the one who had her bridal shower hosted by Hillary Clinton at the White House. Yeah. Why do we care what a Clinton associate says about someone who is obviously against the Clinton policies, the neoliberal pro-war policies of Clinton? I don't care. You shouldn't either. Neither should readers of the New York Times. The question deepened on Thursday after Ms. Gabbard threatened to boycott Tuesday's debate, arguing that the corporate news media and the Democratic National Committee are working together to rig the event. The New York Times is a co-sponsor of the debate with CNN. Really? Well, the DNC has rigged events in the past. Perhaps you remember giving questions to Hillary Clinton. That was all brought out by Donna Brazile. And if you're wondering why she's concerned about the corporate news media not being fair to her, look at this article as an example. This is not an opinion piece. This is an actual article in the politics section on the New York Times. And it's nothing but a smear job. I said I would do 15, but it's also an argument that reminds some Democrats of the narrative pushed by Russian actors during the 2016 presidential contest, when an operation by internet trolls worked to manipulate American public opinion, that the electoral system is broken and cannot be trusted. So now we're associating the 2016 Russian bots with Tulsi Gabbard. See, Russian bots have been pushed as a bad thing for the last couple of years since the election in the New York Times. They've been pushing Russian bots, Russian bots, Russian bots. Now they're associating all that negativity with Tulsi Gabbard. Again, another guilt by association. That's 15. I'm done. I'm done. The article keeps going. There's way more smears in it. You can read the whole article if you want to. But I just want the fans of the New York Times to know that this paper, the New York Times, as evidence in this story, is not the journalistic ideal that you think it is. It's not. It's propaganda. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please share it with someone. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Peace.